Hi, hello, buddies. Welcome to our channel Cloudy Grammars. Please subscribe our channel after watching the full video only if you like. And only if you subscribe, you can get all the updates from our channel. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the poem Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris, a poet from Welsh. Okay, let me go for stanza 1. He stalks in his vivid strips the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. Okay, first of all, before explaining the stanza, let me tell you the theme of this poem: captivity versus freedom. Okay, that is the theme of this poem. That's how we see in the lines of the first stanza. He stalks in his vivid strips. That means stalks means walking. Okay, he is walking, and the physical appearance of a tiger is explained in this line. Okay, vivid strips. The few steps of his cage. That means he is captive. Like means he is arrested or imprisoned in a cage, and he is not able to step out of the cage. On pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage, and his movements are compared to a pads of velvet. That means nature of a tiger to just move around in the jungle with full speed and with its full force. But here inside the cage, the tiger is not able to move because it's inside a cell. It's not able to move, and so since he is not moving like a tiger in the jungle, his pads has become like a velvet. And the last line in his quiet rage, here the poet has used the oxymoron quiet rage. That means the tiger is so quiet inside the cage, but so though it is quiet, but it's very anger, it's very angry, it has got the rage within itself. Why? What is the reason? The nature of a tiger to live in its own habitat. Habitat means it's nature to live in jungle, not inside the cage. That's why it's quiet and rage. Now let's move on to the next stanza. Stanza 2. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plum deer pass. Uh, yes, here what what a tiger does in the jungle. In the first stanza, we saw the physical appearance and the nature, and now here the poet has moved himself to talk about the tiger's habitat, that is a jungle. What he does in a jungle, he hides and sliding through a long grass. Okay, he hides and he walks through a long grass. Why he goes there to the long grass near the water hole where plum deer pass? Okay, here the plum means the fat deer, they come to the water hole to drink water in the pond. But there the tiger hides himself in the long grass to attack the plum deer, the fat deer, for it as its prey. To actually the nature of the tiger to hunt and eat. That is the nature of a tiger. That's why he hides himself in the long grass to hunt the fat deer. That's on the second stanza. Now let's move on to the third stanza. Stanza 3. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. Here the tiger is personified as a human being using the pronoun he. Snarling around the houses, that means he frightens the people who are living at the end of the jungle's edge. That means people are living around the edge of the jungle. He terrorizes them, he frightens them with his roaring sound, snarling around. And the third line, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Baring his white fangs, he threatens the people with his white fangs and his claws, which are so sharp or which are capable of killing the people or like hurting the people. So the peoples are getting frightened of the tiger, terrorizing the whole village. That's what he does. That is the nature of the tiger. That's what is explained in the stanza 3. Now let's move on to the fourth stanza. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. In the previous stanza, we saw how a tiger lives in jungle. What is the nature of the tiger while living in its own habitat? How it frightened the people. But here it's just opposite. It's captivated and imprisoned in a concrete cell. It's locked up and his strength behind bars, and all its strength has gone or disappeared. The instinct of a tiger is what, like hiding and hunting its prey. But here, since it's locked up in a concrete cell, its instinct of its strength and its nature is just disappeared. Because what is the reason? Because it's locked up. That is the only reason. Now let's move on for the third line. Stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. That means he's just walking inside the cage alone. That means he has got no place to walk freely. How it walked in its own habitat, but here it has got no place to walk. But he ignores the visitors. In the previous stanza, it terrorized, it frightened the people, but here it just ignores the visitors, the people whoever comes to visit the tiger, he ignores them. He is not ready to visit them, not terrorize them, not see them. He is not interested. Here it's absolutely just opposite of a nature of a tiger. That's what the poet says in the fourth stanza. Now let's move on to the fifth stanza. Stanza 5. He hears the last voice at night. It's very common in all the zoos that the people who are in charge of the zoo, they go for the rounds and just to have a visit what the animals are doing, or have they got any problems, like they go for the rounds. That is the time when the tiger hears the lost voice, the patrolling cars making noise, and the third line, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Here, the poet has used the repetition poetic device, and he looks with the brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. That means the tiger has not lost his hope. He has got some hope of going back to his own habitat, living his own life. Here, many of us think that freedom is meant only for human beings. But here the poet trying to tell us the truth that freedom is not mentioned or meant only for humans, it is meant for even to the animals. Because nature of a tiger to live in jungle and hunt its own prey with his own hands, not just captivated or imprisoned or locked up in a cell and given the meat. It's not the common thing. That's what the poet is trying to tell us through this poem. Now let's move on to the figures of speech or poetic devices used in this poem. Yes, he has used the poetic device imagery. Like you see the examples, vivid strips lurking in the shadows, sliding through long grass, snarling around houses. All these phrases make like a visual imagery in our mind when we read them. Okay, that's what imagery. Let's move on to the next poetic device symbolism, cage and sky. Here, the cage, like it refers to the loss of freedom or captivity or imprison. That means the tiger is not given the freedom, and here the sky gives the freedom, the hope, and what the tiger hopes of having the freedom, living back in its habitat, that is jungle. Both refer to the like captivity, and sky refers to the freedom. That's what they symbolize. And the third poetic device, personification. The human qualities are given to the non-living things or non-humans. That's how the tiger is called as he, using the pronoun third person singular. Let's move on to the next metaphor, velvet pad. Here his foot is compared to a velvet. Okay, since he is just moving inside the concrete cell, his rough uh, food has become like a velvet soft. That is metaphor. Direct comparison is metaphor. And now let's move on to the next poetic device, oxymoron. That means two consecutive words, like quite rage. I have not mentioned here, but that is in the poem line, quite rage. That means when the tiger is inside, it's so quiet, and it also is very angry. So quite rage, consecutive words are just opposites. That is called as oxymoron. Let's the next one is assonance, use of star sounds like consonant sound. Here S is being used like stocks, ace, strips, repeated consonant sound, that is S. And the last one is consonants, use of vowel sound. We can see the word or letter I, his vivid strips, repeated vowel I, that is consonants. That's all, dear friends and students. Please do subscribe our channel for regular update from our channel. Thank you all.